What's all this noise about?
My lord, Master Zhang Hui has rebelled!
Let my sons handle the tantrum of this bawling infant.
My lord.
What is it, my dear?
Our boys are off fighting. We are the only ones here in Luoyang. So surely it falls to us to deal with these infidels. Am I correct?
A few moments later.
Just what is the point of this rebellion? Your foolishness knows no limits! Honestly, I would have prepared properly and made sure that...
My lord, I think that's quite enough.
Of course.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Night Owl channel, and welcome back to the series where we're counting down the top Dynasty Warriors characters as of the latest game. Coming in at number 59, we have Zhang Chunhua, and she was the wife of Sima Yi and the mother of Sima Yi and Sima Zhao. Before we jump into how she's changed, we're going to take a look at the popularity polls to see why she's at the 59th spot. Zhang Chunhua receives 980 votes out of a total of 75,000, putting her up at the 32nd spot. In the second popularity poll, she drops down to the 59th spot, and then in my personal ranking, she's down at the 68th spot. Zhang Chunhua is not a character that I really use at all. I was aware of the weapons she used and her relationship among the officers and her role that she plays within the game, but it's not somebody that I ever really was enticed to play or wanted to play. I kind of just avoided playing her because she just wasn't very interesting for me to play as. She's been part of the series since Dynasty Warriors 8. Before we jump into how she's changed from the last game to the most recent game, let's talk a little bit about her background for those who don't know. Again, Zhang Chunhua is the wife of Sima Yi, the mother of Sima Yi, and the mother of Sima Zhao. She was said to have been a virtuous and resourceful woman who was not loved by her husband throughout their marriage. Depending on the many interpretations of historical records, she intimidated her husband by either outwitting him with her scholarly knowledge or by unnerving him with her cold and violent nature. This is evident in the first game that she's a playable character in Dynasty Warriors 8. There are a lot of cutscenes. Pretty much every cutscene that Zhang Chunhua is a part of the cutscene and talking to Sima Yi, you can see the intimidation factor that she plays among him, making Sima Yi very nervous.
I wouldn't want you to lose your focus either. Shall I go with you?
Yes. Only with focus will you be able to...
My lord.
And almost making him speechless at times because he finds her intimidating due to this cold and perhaps even violent nature that Zhang Chunhua is known for. Everyone around her is very attentive to what she's saying and making sure that they don't get on her bad side. In the most recent games, it's not as obvious as it is in Dynasty Warriors 8. In Dynasty Warriors 8, she had a very direct and intimidating personality. But in Dynasty Warriors 9, they kind of held back a little bit, and Zhang Chunhua, at least from when I was playing through the story, she didn't seem to be as intimidating as she was in the first game that she was playable, but she still had that element of intimidation, and you can see it in instances, just not every time, when they had their cutscenes and stuff like that. Zhang Chunhua was a loving mother and loving wife to Sima Yi. Despite being the seemingly dominant one in their relationship, her relationship with her husband and her children was harmonious, and she does care for them. The wife is content to step aside for her husband, but will occasionally force him to make decisions he would normally reject.
This has proven to me that your intellect and bravery will be more than enough to lead Wei in the future. And so now, I wish to announce my withdrawal from public life.
And you can see that throughout the game in Dynasty Warriors 8 when he was making decisions, or perhaps he was going on, he was talking, or, he was giving a speech or whatever, and Zhang Chunhua would interrupt him and say, that's enough, let's move on, kind of thing. And you can really see the power that she has over Sima Yi. Even though Sima Yi was, head of the, household, head of the family, head of the kingdom, and set up his kingdom for eventually winning and uniting China under their rule. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into how Zhang Chunhua has changed from the first game that she was in, Dynasty Warriors 8, to the most recent one in Dynasty Warriors 9. Not a lot of changes. She's only been in a couple games, so there's not going to be too much different with her from, you know, game to game. We're going to start off with Zhang Chunhua's appearance. Now, her appearance in both games is fine. I don't have any complaints about it. It looks like it fits her when she was first introduced, and then the adaptation to the newest game, it looks just fine for her. No complaints with her appearance. Now let's jump into her weapon style. In Dynasty Warriors 8, Zhang Chunhua receives the wired gloves, which is basically Sima Yi's weapon from Dynasty Warriors 6. It has a similar moveset, and it has the similar style to that of Sima Yi when you played with him in the Dynasty Warriors 6 game. But very similar moveset. It wasn't too flashy or anything like that. I didn't really care for it either way. It was an alright weapon. Nothing too exciting about it or anything like that. And I even believe one of the Musaos for that weapon style was actually Sima Yi's original Musao from when he had that weapon. And then in Dynasty Warriors 9, she gets basically a whip, and it's nothing too flashy. Again, other characters in that game also have the whip as a cloned weapon, and it fits her fine. I don't really care for it. Both of the weapon styles were both to me. Nothing that would make me want to play her again or make her one of my favorites in any upcoming games. But she goes through the two different changes in the games, and that's pretty much it for her weapons. Now on to the voice acting. The voice acting is a very prominent, probably the most prominent thing among the things that have changed. Not saying that it wasn't good in Dynasty Warriors 9, however, with the emphasis on the intimidation and who Zhang Chunhua was, in Dynasty Warriors 8, they did a really good job emphasizing this intimidation factor, and the voice actor did a really good job, you know, projecting this character within the game, making her seem even more intimidating than she actually was. It fit her perfectly. But yeah, her voice acting in the newest game doesn't come across like that.
Chunhua, tell the envoy that they cannot attack the Shu army at the Wuzhong Plains. They are not to mobilize their troops, no matter what.
Understood. It seems your rest was a short-lived one, my lord.
Maybe because the instances of her being intimidating is a lot less than in Dynasty Warriors 8, but she doesn't have that same, I would say, influence that she did in Dynasty Warriors 8. In Dynasty Warriors 9, she's a little bit more, I would say, cooperative. Not saying she wasn't cooperative in Dynasty Warriors 8, but, you know, when she was planning or when she wanted Sima Yi or whatever it was to do something specific or not do something specific, she made it clear. And it was evident, like it came across direct. She, you know, was very to the point about it. Sima Yi understood, and you know, he ended up being befuddled at times and was like, okay, I'll do that. But in Dynasty Warriors 9, I think it's only like in the beginning of her story, and then like maybe a couple instances towards the end.
Chunhua, what are you doing here?
If I may say so, dear husband, there is true vitality in your eyes these days. You appear to be having tremendous fun.
Yes I am.
I just wasn't expecting to see this side of the cold and calculating Master Sima Yi is all. I consider it to be somewhat of a relief.
But most of the time in Dynasty Warriors 9, she seems to have a more compromising conversation versus the one she did in Dynasty Warriors 8. I love the voice acting in Dynasty Warriors 8. I think the person did a really good job conveying that again, that intimidation and that frightening appearance that Zhang Chunhua had in Dynasty Warriors 8. And while maintaining having that frightening, intimidating voice, it still came across as a good intention. It wasn't something that was evil or villainous to the people that she loved. It was out of good intention, and I think the voice actor did a really good job back in Dynasty Warriors 8. Moving on to her relationships and her death. Her main relationship is going to be with her family and with Wang Yuanji. Wang Yuanji was the wife, the partner of Sima Zhao. Zhang Chunhua deemed Wang Yuanji to be more responsible than either of her sons, often giving the younger lady tips on how to discipline Sima Zhao. Sima Zhao, when we get to him, we'll explain more, but he was more carefree, and whatever it took to, like, the easy route, whatever that was, he would rather take that than do it the hard way. Sima Shi was very disciplined, and, you know, he would do whatever it takes in order to make his dream or his father's dream a reality. So Zhang Chunhua would pull Wang Yuanji aside and, you know, always give her tips or talk to her. She's got a few cutscenes involved with her and stuff like that.
My sons still have some growing up to do, as does my husband.
One person is only capable of so much.
You're such a smart little thing. Please do not forsake my imbecile son.
She definitely had that relationship with her enough to, you know, give her advice or whatever it was she was doing at the time. And then, of course, diving into the relationship with her family, her husband, and her two sons. You know, she loved her family very much. And again, revisiting the whole good intentions thing. Everything that she did was out of good intention. Even when it seemed harsh, it was out of good intention. When Sima Yi retired in Dynasty Warriors 8, she was saying, you know, our boys are all fighting, we need to go help, and, you know, stuff like that. And then when they came back and they were looking for assistance or whatever it was, you know, she said, that's enough, you know, we're retiring, you need to figure it out on your own so you can grow as men.
You have grown physically, but not mentally, it would seem. You're grown men, both of you. Don't you think it's time that you stood on your own 2 feet? If you continue to baby them, they will never become men.
And it's a very, you know, understanding play, and it was mainly due to helping them develop as men and as generals and commanders of an army, so that way they can carry on the legacy that Sima Yi and Zhang Chunhua would leave behind eventually when they pass away. But other than that, that's pretty much all she had in terms of relationships with the, you know, of course, the family, and then with Wang Yuanji. And then finally, her death, it wasn't discussed in the game or anything like that. I don't think there was any, like, scenes around her death. She died of illness when she was 59 years old. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for Zhang Chunhua. Not a lot of information to go, like, not a lot of, you know, content around her because of, you know, the lack of, you know, she's only been in 2 games. There's nothing, not a lot of content involved around her. She's only been in, you know, a couple weapon changes that weren't very exciting. We've seen them before. And appearance was great. Voice acting was the biggest thing. I think, again, really great voice acting for her in Dynasty Warriors 8. It really portrayed that intimidation and that, you know, frightening persona and, you know, aura that she had around her family and other, you know, people and stuff like that. And then in Dynasty Warriors 9, I thought it was fine. It just wasn't as much. Again, there are certain cases when she did display that and Sima Yi would be befuddled. And it was obvious in some of the, like, comments during, like, when you were fighting, like, if you were around Sima Yi or Sima Shi or Sima Zhao, they would make comments around that frightening appearance. So if you were playing as her, you would, like, kill an officer or complete a task, and they would, if they were around you, they would say something along the lines of, like, oh my goodness, you know, be nice, or, you know, you don't have to be so mean. Or I think I went to rescue Sima Shi one time, and he was like, oh, don't punish me here, please wait till we get home, or something like that. So she still had that aura in the game, but she had less cutscenes around it, and the way she was presented, again, she was more, I think she was more compromising than she was in Dynasty Warriors 8. Not saying she wasn't compromising in Dynasty Warriors 8, but she was, again, direct. When she wanted something to be done, it was done, and she had good intention behind it. In the latest game, it was a little bit less than that. But yeah, that's all I really have for Zhang Chunhua. Again, I don't have much else for her. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, definitely appreciate, like, comment, subscribe. If you use her or you play as her, she was ranked up pretty high for one of the newer characters during that time the poll was taken. So if you use her, if you like her, let me know down in the comment section. But that's all I have for the video, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone.